Hello and welcome to another episode of the Anti-Pharmacist Podcast. Well, it's the TGIF episode today. But wait though, it's Friday already. When did we start? Monday? Wow. It looks like time is on a tight schedule because it is seriously running. Well, I welcome you once again to the podcast today. And concerning the issue I'll be discussing today, I won't even beat around the bush. It's the issue of these increasing prices of medications in Nigeria. I'm very sure that most of us, if not all of us living in Nigeria right now, know what's going on with our economy. Our prices of commodities keep increasing every day. But then, it's like some people expect that prices of medications will be static. Did you think that all this will not affect medications? Or you think medications will be an exception? The inflation rate is alarming. Is it fuel or food or whatever it is you spend money on right now? So it baffles me when some people make some comments on increasing prices of medication. I get very unnecessary and frankly unfair comments all the time, as I'm fairly certain a lot of my colleagues across the country do. Comments like, "You people are wicked, it's not fair what you are doing. You are just adding prices." Some even say it in Yoruba like, "Don't you want us to use medications anymore? You don't want us to get well, Abi?" And all sorts. I need people to understand that the pharmacy profession, especially community practice, it's a business, alright? But it's not just a business. We are healthcare professionals that provide healthcare services. I mean, do you go to hospitals and not get your card? Are the prices static? Recently, a patient came to me that she didn't want to go to the hospital because the price for getting their cards has increased. So this does not only happen in community pharmacies. So coming to the pharmacy and making such comments is usually saddening and sometimes annoying, honestly. I feel your pains, right? I do. But don't come thinking that you are being exploited and start making comments that are disrespectful. One patient even said that we are the ones destroying Nigeria, like our Lamba Nigeria. Mind you, our prices are not arbitrary. They are regulated. Of course, they may differ from pharmacy to pharmacy due to some factors which I won't be getting into, but only by a small margin. But it looks like patients are now making pharmacies out to be villains in this whole issue. I'm telling you, my ears are full and close to bleeding from all the complaints I get every day. I now begin to wonder if those people are not in Nigeria and are unaware of the prevailing situation. I ask myself why they think medications will be an exception when the prices of everything else keep increasing. So I thought that it is absolutely necessary to put this episode up. Let me break it down for you. What actually causes this price increase of medications so that we all will be on the same page. I think maybe people are aware of reasons for increase in other commodities because they understand the processes involved in getting it to them. At least for food products, for example, they might know that the increased prices are caused by, first, the increasing cost of transportation, amongst other things. I'm guessing that's relatable. So I'll explain the reasons for increasing prices of medications too, in order for it to also be relatable. Alright? So, for those that do not know, over 70% of the drugs being sold in Nigeria are imported. They are not made in Nigeria. They are imported from countries like India, China, the US, the UK, and other European countries. We even have some being imported from Kenya. Now, even the close to 30% remaining, which are actually manufactured in Nigeria, the raw materials for manufacturing them are imported. So it is safe to say that the pharmaceutical sector in Nigeria depends heavily, if not solely, on importation. Well, I want to believe that at least some of the packaging materials are locally sourced, because if not, that's a pity. Anyway, I acknowledge that our indigenous pharmaceutical companies are really trying their best because it takes a lot of financial commitment to run a pharmaceutical manufacturing plant anywhere in the world, not to talk of Nigeria, especially with the epileptic power supply, amongst other productivity stifling factors. Having had some experience working in a manufacturing company for a while myself, I totally understand and give kudos to our indigenous manufacturing companies, because if they were not doing the seemingly little they are doing right now, the current situation would have been worse. You see, there are several factors that influence the prices of commodities. The first one that everybody knows is the exchange rate, the dollar to naira exchange wahala that is going on right now that everybody is shouting about. Never did I think there would come a time when a dollar would go for over 1,000 naira. Well, here we are. The second widely known reason is the cost of fuel, which impacts transport cost of these commodities and eventually the final price to the consumers. We all know what the price per liter of fuel is today, and we also know that it is prone to further increase. Now, that's for general commodities, but I will be speaking specifically about medications from this point. Firstly, I will talk about the why. The reasons the prices of drugs keep going up each time you go to your pharmacy to get your medication. Of course, I have mentioned some earlier. I will only add a little more explanation. Then I will talk about the ways out in my own opinion. Who knows, someone might just be listening who could influence some of these factors and help with one or more ways out of this. Now, the whys. Number one is the exchange rate. Since these drugs are imported, remember I told you, you are buying something sold in dollars or euros with naira, and you are selling in naira. You know what that means at the current exchange rate, right? Those that are into importing of goods will understand better. At this exchange rate, and this exchange rate is not statical, it keeps getting worse in fact. So how will these medications not keep being more expensive? Let me just stop there. I think you get my point. Number two is import duties. Oh, did you forget there is that as well? You must pay the government some money for bringing products into the country now. The government must make money to provide social amenities. Remember, income taxes are not the only sources. Import duties are another major source. Now you know. Of course, you know it can't be small money. It depends on the volume and value of the product being imported. Besides, we are in Nigeria. You know that apart from the legal deals, some corner ones too will most likely enter the equation in order for your file to be brought forward. Anyways, what do I know? Let me stop there. I think you get my drift. And the third reason is the cost of registration with regulatory bodies. We've talked about how NAFDAC and other regulatory bodies must certify that imported medications are authentic before they can be accepted or dispensed in Nigeria in a previous episode. It's not free. Dues have to be paid for this. If you add all this to the original price of the medication, are you seeing the picture now? If it was a one-time thing, maybe prices will be static. But these are recurrent expenditures that are subject to changes, usually increasing prices for the most part. And the last factor is the middlemen. Those that studied economics at some point in their education know that products don't just arrive directly from the manufacturer to the final consumer. It has to pass through a distribution channel, which includes the middlemen. This channel comprises majorly of the wholesalers and the retailers. These are businesses that aim to also make profits because they incur expenses to get the products to you in the first place. So their profit margins will impact the final price of the product getting to the consumer. The community pharmacies you go to get your medications are mostly retailers who get from wholesalers or pharmaceutical reps. Pharmaceutical reps are another category of middlemen. But like I said, there's price regulation in pharmacy, so their margins we cannot exceed because of ethical consideration. After all, it's not just like any other business. This is a healthcare service providing business, so it's not all about profit. We aim also to contribute to the healthcare of the country, but then we must make profit. It's not a charity organization. We are not an NGO. Do you understand? Now, considering all these above listed factors, you should know by now why your medication keeps increasing in price. Well, now let me tell you the way out. Let me quickly say that these are my suggestions and what I think can be helpful, at least from my own experience. So, they are my opinion, and they are not definite. Of course, some are already taking shape, existed before. In that case, I'm only bringing them to your notice. The first I'll talk about is locally sourced pharmaceutical raw materials. I have hinted earlier that some packaging materials, which are part of raw materials, may be locally sourced. Note that I said may, because in Nigeria, nothing is certain. Even toothpicks are being imported, at least you know. But it would be really nice if raw materials for pharmaceutical manufacturing are sourced locally. That will remove the burden of import duties, starting with packaging materials like plastic bottles, glass bottles, for packaging of your syrups and suspensions, paper leaflets and cartons. That's a good idea. Then we can go on to manufacturing pharmaceutical grade excipients and ultimately to the active pharmaceutical ingredients. A common excipient is cornstarch. We have farmlands in Nigeria that grow corn year in, year out. All we need is the expertise to make them disease-free and process them into high-quality pharmaceutical grade cornstarch suitable for manufacturing. This expertise can be outsourced through training or hiring of the experts. But most importantly, there is need for funding. The government must help the pharmaceutical industry in Nigeria in terms of providing loans and suitable government policies for this purpose. The pharmaceutical sector of any country contributes immensely to its economy. Take India, for example. Their pharmaceutical industry has grown their economy so much that they are hardly considered a third world country anymore. The pharmaceutical industry in Nigeria is also trying its best considering where we are right now. But given the right opportunities and leverage, we can do even better. There's so much to do, from research and development to manufacturing, even to exporting. But the environment has to be conducive. Private individuals and organizations can pitch in too. It's good investment. I mean pharmaceutical manufacturing. I pray we get there. Second way out is health insurance. I'm honestly not an expert on insurance, but I know it does a lot to reduce the burden of the cost of healthcare. Even in developed countries, a large chunk of healthcare costs, especially cost of medications, are borne by insurance. This insurance is provided by governments and health management organizations known as HMOs. A common one known by people all over in Nigeria is the NHIS, that is the National Health Insurance Scheme. There are also private ones, which I mentioned earlier, the HMOs. And there are several HMOs all around the country as of today. Any individual can take advantage of this by paying a premium monthly and having access to this service in form of discount on medication cost. Some even bear all the cost of medications and other treatments. There are plans for individuals and families which will go a long way in easing the burden of price increase of medications in times like this. I will dedicate an episode to that in future, maybe, and I might even bring one or two experts on this to explain it to you guys. Community pharmacies now partner with these HMOs and even NHIS, so all you have to do is to pay the difference or just come pick up your medications after providing the necessary information and documents, which are used for proper documentation. My third point for the way out is favorable government policies. Of course, it will still come back to the government because they are in charge of the affairs of the country. They control the business environment and the major part of the economy of the country. Let's start from salaries. If people are able to earn good living, when standard of living is high, they will be able to afford their medications without stress. It's not enough to widen tax nets. Also, increase salary to commensurate with the prevailing economic situation. Palliatives are not just enough. The government should make favorable financial policies that will increase the power of the naira. It is honestly not good for a country to depend on the currency of another country and let it dictate its economic affairs. What it leads to is economic crisis, and that's what we're experiencing right now. Like I said, I'm not a finance expert. Let the finance expert take it up and make of it what they will. We need the naira to be stronger. We need standard of living to increase and cost of living to reduce. We need to diversify our economy and not depend on petroleum alone for foreign exchange. All this, I believe, are in the jurisdiction and capacity of the government, so they should do it. If the country was favorable, the number of people living in droves selling their properties and businesses to live in other countries will reduce. The brain drain will reduce. All sectors will improve and the country in turn will be better. Lastly, non-governmental organizations known as NGOs and well-meaning individuals can pitch in to help subsidize the prices of these medications. Although it is the duty of the government to provide quality and affordable healthcare for its citizens, but we all know that they can't do it alone. That's why we have NGOs like Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Wellcome Trust, and others that help even from research and development up to manufacturing and making these medicines available, especially essential medicines like antimalarials, antibiotics, and even vaccines. It is our corporate social responsibility to give back to our society in any way we can, no matter how little, as long as we have the capacity. We can also collaborate with others with the same goal to form, organizations that can help people, especially in terms of their healthcare. You can contact the Ministry of Health in your state or locality, or even reach out to me if you want to pitch in. You can help a number of people subsidize their cost of their medications, especially the geriatrics, the elderly people in the society. Most of these people spend their pensions on their medications. Good health and access to essential medicines is the right of everyone, even those that can't afford it, which is why your help will be most appreciated. Let me add this bonus point. Like I always say, if you can't afford your usual brand, ask your pharmacist for a cheaper alternative. Not that the prices of those ones too haven't increased though, but at least they will still be affordable. There will definitely be one that will be affordable for you. On this note, I bring today's TGIF episode to an end. I hope I've been able to answer your questions about why drug prices keep going up in Nigeria. I have also brought to your attention a few ways by which we can make it easier on our pockets. You can leave your comments and questions under this podcast, or you can reach out to us via email at antipharmacistpodcast@gmail.com. Also, please follow us on Instagram at antipharmacistpodcast. You can leave questions and comments also in the DM or the comment section. We'll be sure to attend to them. Please follow, share, like, and subscribe to this podcast. Do have yourself a wonderful weekend. Till next time, stay healthy and God bless you.